So welcome to Puddles Part 3. Yes, there are 3 different ways of doing puddles. On to our last technique for puddles. This is quite a simple one. You actually build the puddle off your layout, drop it in place and just fill in the scenery. So very simple. I'm going to use acetate and I'm going to cut this up into 2 or 3 pieces that I can use on my layout in other places. The tools or materials you'll need this week are basically acetate, scissors to cut them out, grout again, white glue again, and IPA, that's isopropyl alcohol, and water to spray on. You may also want some gloss varnish at the end just to finish it all off. This is just leftover acetate from a building kit. I probably put glass in the windows and had this left over. So what do? Well, you take your pieces of acetate and you literally, if you can see them, you literally put glue on and then you put your ground cover, whatever it is that you're using. In my case, guess what? Yes, it's grout. Now, that's obviously way too much. So I'm just going to take a brush and create the shape of the puddle in the middle here. I'm leaving the puddle blank because that's the bit that's going to be the acetate, and then the rest of it sits around the outside. I'm going to do this on all of them. This is easier for bigger puddles. I'm sure you could do it in smaller scales, but it will probably be more of a pond in N than a puddle. Now you've just got to get your grout onto those sections. So the good old tea strainer from a height. I keep doing this until most of the wet patch has disappeared. Then, and it's important you do it now, otherwise you may not get it off later, you need to shake off the grout that you don't want, or it'll be stuck there permanently. The last one done. So there we go. Puddles, the start of them anyway, on acetate. Continuing on with our acetate puddles, I just knock off any loose grout, which there'll normally be quite a bit because sort of associated areas will pick up grout will pick up the glue without actually being stuck. So I just sand it off and you end up with a bit of a better shape and look then to this one, which is a bit, yeah, it's just a bit weird looking. So there we go. Those are our base acetate puddles. Work out where you're going to put them. In this instance, they're going on my HO layout, and I only want a cuddle. So I'm going to pick my best ones. I think is that one. And I'm just going to cut it out a little bit more roughly. If you know exactly where you're going to put them beforehand and you want to be very exact, you can cut them out before you do this stage, but it's not that important to do so. Now the reason for doing acetate is you get a nice clear smooth view and the colour that's underneath comes through. So these ones that are going on, I'm just going to attach the really small amount of white glue. My trusty, much loved cocktail stick, and you need to make sure you don't go under the puddle, and you want them to be level because this is going to be water. So there we go. I'm just going to let those dry up so they don't get smudged. I'm going to put a couple of these acetate puddles on my O-scale diorama as well, and I'm going to use these bigger ones for that. So basically cut them out. Don't have to be exact because it's going to get covered in a minute with more grout, as you might expect. And the crucial thing is when you put it down that you look at your puddle again and check there's nothing untoward underneath. And we'll glue those down too. Right, our acetate puddles have dried. You can see clearly the puddle underneath, and now we need to just marry them into the landscape. Now I'm not going to spray grout and glue and everything like I normally do because it'll just run under the puddle and you'll end up with a really weird look. So I'm going to use a more subtle technique of putting glue on and then sprinkling the grout on and hoping it sticks. Using a much smaller teaspoon. Doesn't really matter if it goes over your puddles again because we'll just pull them out. So here we go, a nice grout layer, and you want it to all be smooth and even and to fill in any gaps. And I'm just going to leave that and we'll see what it's like when we glue sets and we clear off and reveal our puddles. Next up is revealing what happened to our acetate puddles after the glue has dried overnight. So for that, I'm just going to knock the grout off. Of course, you can't always turn them upside down, so you may have to use a brush. Now I always thought this would be the first layer of grout and I'd probably have to put a second on, and as I look at this I can see that around the puddles I could just do with a little bit extra around here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First I'm going to knock the grout off the O-scale diorama too. Now this one, when I look at it I can see the bumps of the bits around the edges of the puddles, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to put some extra on this. Yeah, definitely, just to get it to tie in. I'm just going to bed the edges of this back in now to help out, just tie it all together. A little bit of IPA just to get it to run through with the glue, and I will just go round with the lid off and just catch these edges. It will spread out a bit more naturally if it's a little bit thinner. So here we go. So, trusty tea stainer. Bit of leftover grout. There we go. So I'm just going to leave that to dry up again. Another day goes by. And we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. I'm just going to clean these up with the cotton bud, dipped in water, so you can actually see the puddles underneath. It's the final stage, just to add a drop of gloss varnish to all of these to seal the acetate, to stop it scratching and to just key it into the environment a little bit more. It will wick through, but then this is a damp area, so you'd expect it to. And whilst I'm here, I'm going to put a bit in the other gaps as well. I've got the O-scale puddles and you can see some great depth in those. You can see where the glue ran underneath as well, but if you put leaves or things under there, they'd really show up. So very good technique in that scale. We've also got it in HO, and again you can see the depth in the areas that they've really come out, and I'm really pleased with how they've come out, and they've tied in. There's plenty of gloss in the other areas, but the bits with those acetate much flatter really makes a difference. Yeehaw! 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 This is great. Well, yeehaw! I love this. You know, go for it. This is great. Look at me. No hands, Mark. do this all day. Should we go around the park? Cute dog. Nice doggy. Nice doggy. Well, field trip out to see a real puddle in the park. This is brilliant. It was a real puddle last week. It was more of a splash than a puddle. My feet hurt. That was mild for someone my size. I'm only small. Wasn't that dog cute? He was so cute and terrifying. Thank goodness Mills girl Kathy was around to sort us all out. And all this for this. The worst thing is, we've still got to go back. And my feet hurt. This was worth it. Dog was great. And we're here because it's like your N-scale diorama. Yours is going to look very like this. Obviously yours needs grass. Really, just needs the whole scenery. I mean, let's face it, we've got a little bit of gloss varnish on so far. It's not that exciting. Yeah. There we go. Right, home time. And how are we going to get in the house? It was a nightmare last time. How? How are we going to get in this time? I'm not doing what we did last week again. You're just too short. Should we get that dog? He looks huge. Well, that was how to do acetate puddles. Easy technique. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're enjoying the course, then please subscribe to me on YouTube or on my website, kathymillett.co.uk, or alternatively, like me on Facebook, Kathy Millett Modelling. See you next week.